All aboard! Welcome back to some more songs and stories of good old railroad days. Well, I was going to tell you about early railroads, and now I'm gonna. So what were the first railroads? Would you count a cart pushed along a rail by a sail? How about a cart pulled along a rail by a mule? Yeah, they didn't work too good. And in 1797, an Englishman named Richard Trevithick built the first workable three-wheeled steam-powered vehicle. And another Englishman named George Stephenson brought the locomotive to a higher, more practical stage. In 1829, his famous engine, the Rocket, weighing 4 tons, pulled a 14-ton load. And the most famous of all the early steam engines belonged to the Baltimore and Ohio Company. It was called the Tom Thumb, and it became famous because it established the steam engine as the motion power for railroads in the USA. On August 25, 1830, the Tom Thumb raced a horse-drawn cart all the way from Baltimore to Ellicott Mills, Maryland, a distance of 13 miles, to see which was the faster form of transportation. And here's how the race went. Oops, dropped my pictures. Well, the horse-drawn cart got off to a fast start, pulled out ahead of the Tom Thumb, because it took a few minutes for the Tom Thumb to get up steam. But once it got up steam, it started chugging along, and at the 5-mile mark, they were neck and neck. At the 7-mile mark, the Tom Thumb was pulling ahead. At the 9-mile mark, Tom Thumb stopped. Faulty drive belt. Well, folks said, boys, I think you got something there, if you can fix that drive belt. Well, other railroads went into operation. In the 1820s, John Stevens built the first locomotive to run on a rail track. Now, the track was in his backyard in Hoboken, New Jersey, but his little engine pulled 6 passengers over a big circular course at a speed of, 12 miles an hour. But how many people want to go around in circles in Hoboken? Not that many. Well, another early train I got to tell you about, and I got to pick up everything off the floor too, was, I dropped it again. In 1827, the South Carolina legislature granted a charter for a railroad between Charleston and Hamburg, and so a distance of 136 miles, and so they called that train the Charleston and Hamburg. The problem was, when it came back the other way, they changed the name to the Hamburg and Charleston, and then when it went back, they changed the name back to the Charleston and Hamburg. And the poor fella who had to paint the name of the train on the side of the cards got really upset because they kept changing. That's not true. No, but this is true. That little engine, which is called the best friend of Charleston, and if you go there, you can still see it, established several firsts in railroading in the USA. It was the first to have regular passenger service. It was the first train to carry the U.S. mail. And it was the first to ride at night. And for lights on that train, what they did was they put a flat car in front of the engine. They piled the flat car high up with pine knots, and they set the pine knots on fire. And burning pine knots were the very first ever railroad headlight. Now, I've been doing this show for 40 years or more, and just last month, the little boy sitting in the front raised his hand, and he said, "Wasn't that dangerous?" We never thought about that before. Well, so gonna make a sentimental journey, gonna set my heart at ease, whoa, gonna make a sentimental journey with some railroad memories. Come on back next time for more songs and stories of old railroad days.